Hello everybody, welcome to Deluxe Collectibles, and today I'm going to be ranking all of the brand new My Hero Academia Funko Pops that were revealed at Toy Fair. There are 14 of them in this video here, but for 2 of them, I have combined them with another pop because one of the versions is an exclusive, but it's just a minor difference such as glow-in-the-dark or metallic, and I just don't feel like it's different enough to be its own separate item on the list, so I combine them in this video, but I'm still going to analyze them in the video, of course, and for each pop I'm going to give them a score out of 5. Then at the end of the video I'll reveal the total score, and then I will also let you know my want list for the wave, just letting you know which ones I plan on picking up in the future. And of course you have to remember all of this is my personal opinion, so don't take any of it as objective or anything. It's just my personal opinion here and just what I want to share with all of you. And be sure to let me know your rankings down below in the comment section as well. One of my favorite things to do is kind of compare my list to yours to kind of see the differences and similarities between them, so be sure to do that down below. And if you do enjoy the video, be sure to leave it a like and also subscribe for future content. And let's get straight into it here with number 12. Alright, so here we have All Might. This is the 10-inch version here, and I really love that Funko went through the extra effort of changing up the pose here from the original stance of this pop in its normal version. I think that's really great that they went through the extra effort of that. It looks like a more dynamic pose here, which is really nice, and All Might just looks so great here. I love the face. I can't wait to get to see this one in person. It is going to be a common 10-inch, so you should be able to find it at most stores where Funko Pops are sold, especially stores such as EB Games or GameStop, and I'm super excited about that. It may be the first 10-inch Funko Pop that I actually wind up picking up. I've kind of stayed away from them, but I love My Hero Academia so much that I may have to pick this one up, and for this one I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5, and now let's move on to number 11. Okay, so here I have Sue, and this is the translucent version, which will be a Hot Topic exclusive, and she looks really great here. I think that it's kind of a unique sort of exclusive here. It definitely fully changes up how the pop looks, and I think that's kind of cool. I like the sort of teal coloring on her eyes and kind of around them. I think that looks really nice. It kind of really shines here, and I think it's cool to have a translucent sort of version of this pop. It's not the most exciting exclusive, I will say, but I still think it's pretty cool and it's unique enough that I think it deserves to have this alternate version here. So for this one, I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. And now let's move on to number 10. Alright, here we have a Pop Town, and this one is Deku in uniform with the high school, UA High of course, and this one is a really cool Pop Town here. I believe it is the first Pop Town that we are getting for the anime line, similar to how All Might is, I believe, the first 10-inch one we are getting for the anime line as well, so I think that's kind of cool how they're doing that with My Hero Academia. It shows that they probably have a lot of confidence with the popularity of the series, and I think that this one does not disappoint. I feel like UA looks so cool. It's amazing how they were able to capture all of the detail of the buildings there, and then I really like the Deku pop that we get here. It of course makes a lot of sense that he would be in his UA uniform there, and I think that it looks really amazing. He looks like he's ready to get to his classes, and I think that's just a really cool design there with some good colors going on. So for this one, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5, and now let's move on to number 9. Alright, here we have Tomura Shigaraki, and he looks really great here. I think that the design is pretty cool, and I'm excited for this one because over here in Canada, we did not get the exclusive for him, which was the first version that was made in Funko Pop form. So I'm happy that there's going to be a common version here, and I think that it looks really great. It looks like he's walking away from something in a dramatic sort of way. Kind of reminds me from a moment in Season 4 where he's walking away from a character. I won't spoil what it is, but I think that it's kind of similar to that, and I think that he just looks really cool. Of course, I love the design of the character. I think it's such a unique design, having all the hands all around him, kind of relating to his quirk of decay, where he touches someone with all 5 of his fingers, and he can just make whatever he's touching just, of course, disintegrate, basically. And I think that's just a really cool quirk to have, and this character just looks fantastic. I'm super excited for him, so I'm going to give him a 4.5 out of 5. And now let's move on to number 8. Okay, so here we have Deku in his middle school uniform, and I think this one really captures Deku very well because he has his notebook here. He's writing some notes out. I've heard some people say it would be cool if it was the burnt up version of the notebook after Bakugo kind of like it blows it up, basically. But I think that it's still cool how he has it written here. It kind of looks like he's writing some notes, of course, as Deku does. And I think the uniform looks really great. Black is one of my favorite colors, and I think it looks really good, especially with those minor sort of like gold yellow highlights going on around it with the buttons and the straps on his backpack. I think that looks really cool. The red like sneakers are nice as well. They kind of contrast well against the black, and overall I just think it's a really well done pop. So for this one, I'm going to be giving it a 4.5 out of 5. And now let's move on to number 7. Alright, here we have Endeavor, and this is one of the cases that I mentioned earlier where there are 2 versions here. There is the standard common version, and then there is the glow-in-the-dark Amazon exclusive, and I combine both of these into one spot because I feel like, to me, it doesn't matter too much between which version I wind up getting, or if I wind up getting both of them. I don't really think the score would differ that much. Obviously, I think most people would want the glow-in-the-dark version, but I just didn't really feel like discussing it on a different spot in the list because it's the same sculpt going on here. It's just going to be glow in the dark, and I think the design of this Endeavor looks really great. It of course is not super different from the EB Games / GameStop exclusive, but I still think it's nice that we're getting a common version for the people who weren't able to pick up that box with him in it. And I think that it's cool how that he has all the flames coming up on his legs. I think that looks really great. So it's just adding a little bit more detail to that original design. So for this one, I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5. And now let's move on to number 6. Alright, here we have Midnight, and this one is going to be a Galactic Toys exclusive, and she looks really fantastic. I think it's awesome that we're getting a Funko Pop of her. She's one of my favorite characters from the show in the comedic sense. I feel like whenever she shows up, she always has some really funny one-liners, especially the episode where they're picking their hero names, and she's the one kind of judging them. I felt that that was some really funny comedic moments coming from her, and I think that her character is just very unique and has a really cool design as well. I really love how her hair looks. I think it looks really fantastic how big it is, so it really allows for some really cool sculpting techniques from Funko. I think the little mask on her face looks nice as well, and then just overall it has a really cool design here, and I think the pose really captures her very well, and it kind of looks like her when she's like judging like the sports festival or some of the things going on in that sort of regard, any of the contests. So I think it looks really cool here in general, and for this one I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. Now let's move on to number 5. So here we have Best Jeanist, and I know what you're probably thinking, he's the best, so why is he not at number 1? But of course, it's because he's a more minor hero here. I feel like he's just doesn't have a large enough role to kind of go higher up, because I actually think his design is really fantastic in Funko form. I feel like they captured that so well. I absolutely love the design of the belt kind of going around his mouth there with the jeans, of course, and I really like how they're kind of showing off his quirk as well, with how he's kind of like manipulating the fabrics there, the sort of threads going on. I think that's really unique, and I love the hair as well, covering one of his eyes there. I think it just looks really great, and I think Best Jeanist would probably approve of this Funko Pop, because I feel like it really captures the texture of the jeans there, and I think that it just looks really fantastic. So for this one, I'm going to, of course, give it a 5 out of 5, and now let's move on to number 4. Alright, so here we have Kurogiri, and he looks amazing. I was really nervous about how they were going to kind of design this in Funko form, because of course the character is basically just a non-solid like gas form, so it would be kind of cool to kind of see how they were going to design this, and it makes a lot of sense. I hadn't really thought about it, how he's always wearing that sort of suit, at least most of the time, because he's a bartender, and I think that's just really cool how they use that to their advantage here to make it more of a solid design going on. And I feel like they molded, from what I can see from the glam shot at least, I feel like they really did a good job of molding the gas kind of toxin going around here. I think that looks really great, and he's one of my favorite villains from the League of Villains. I feel like his abilities are just so helpful with the warp gates, sort of allowing everybody to kind of escape pretty easily. So really cool design here. The yellow eyes definitely stand out a lot as well. I think that's a really cool design. So overall, just a great job on this one. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. And now let's move on to number 3. Alright, so here we have Kai Chisaki, and this one is Overhaul, of course, and he looks amazing. I really love the design of this one. For a character that came out like so recently in the series, I'm pretty sure he was introduced maybe in season 4, I think he was introduced in season 4, and I know he obviously plays a big role in season 4, at least so far, and I think that his character is just so cool. He has a really nice, like, a cool demeanor to him, and I think they captured that really well in this stance here. He's kind of holding out his hand there, of course, probably getting ready to use his quirk, which is just absolutely crazy. I think it would be so cool if they were able to put that in a Funko Pop. It would be amazing to have a sort of like anime moment pop, similar to movie moments, where you're having him fighting against Deku. I won't exactly say the context of the fight or anything because I don't want to spoil it, but sort of just their confrontation. I think it would be cool to capture that moment, and if you've seen the scene, then you know why I would want that captured, because it is so cool, and I think he just looks really great here. I love the mask that they gave him there. There was a chance they could have made the version without the mask, but I'm happy they went with this version, because I think it's definitely the more primary sort of outfit that he wears in the series, and he just looks really fantastic, so I'm going to give him a 5 out of 5, and now let's move on to number 2. Okay, so here we have Himiko Toga, and I'm super excited that we're getting a common version of Toga here. She, of course, was an exclusive previously, and now that we're getting this common version, I think this one definitely at least one-ups that previous version. I really love how she's in her full sort of villain uniform here. I think it just makes her look that much more crazy here with the just face mask going on there, and how she has her knives out with her little bloodsucker there. I think it just looks absolutely crazy, and she has definitely, out of maybe every Funko Pop, one of my favorite hair sculpts. I think it just looks absolutely crazy, and it definitely really fits her like crazy off the wall personality here, because it looks like it's a little bit untamed here, and like she's a bit unhinged. And I like the little like kind of going around the, I don't even know what you call it, the neckline of her shirt, how it's kind of like a mouth there. I think that looks really crazy, and just overall, it's a really fantastic pop. I mean, even how they capture the stance of her legs is like how she stands in the series before she's about to attack, and I think that's just so cool how Funko is able to capture those little minor details in these Funko Pops. So kudos to them. I'm going to give this one a 5 out of 5, and now let's move on to number 1. Alright, so at number 1 here we have Mina Ashido, and this one is 2 versions here of the Funko Pop. This is one of the cases similar to Endeavor, where one of the versions is a EB Games / GameStop exclusive, and it is a metallic version, and then we have the common standard version, and these two, once again, I just didn't feel like there was enough of a difference here to really judge them separately, but just going off the pop design here on its own, I feel like they really nailed it here. They just went absolutely crazy here and gave her the most dynamic pose I feel they could. I love how she's kind of surfing on the acid here, and then she's having it come out of both of her hands there. Just the molding of her hair there with the horns coming out, it just looks fantastic. I really think they nailed it here. I kind of like how they put her in her training uniform there. I know they could have put her in her hero outfit, and I'm sure they will eventually, but I think that it's kind of cool to get some of the characters in those uniforms, because then they'll kind of go together really well in like a lineup, and I think she just looks fantastic here. So for this one, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5, and now let's move on to my want list for the wave. Alright, so for my want list for this wave of pops, I'm going to put all of them on the want list because I'm a huge My Hero Academia fan, and I think they just nailed the designs of all of these pops. I think they're just absolutely amazing. Some of the ones that I may not wind up getting is if, let's say, I'm able to get the metallic version of Mina, then I might not wind up picking the common version unless in person. If they look like very different, then maybe I'll wind up doing that, but it's the same sculpt. It's similar to Endeavor. If I'm able to get the Amazon exclusive, then I probably won't pick up the common version, but for the rest of them, I think that they all look just absolutely amazing. The All Might 10-inch and the Deku in the high school are just going to be probably the first pop town and the first 10-inch pops that I wind up getting from my collection. I just think they're so fantastic, and of course the All Might 10-inch doesn't make as much sense in the context of this series, but I can totally understand why they wound up making him the 10-inch pop, because he is just such an iconic character for the series, and I think he just looks amazing. It was really great that they were able to create a new sculpt for the body there in a different pose, and just overall it's an amazing wave here. So now let's move on to my final score. Alright, so in conclusion here for this wave of My Hero Academia pops, out of a score of 60, it managed to score 54.5, and that converts over to 91%. I think that is a really great score here for this wave of pops. I think they all look fantastic. I really love that they're starting to branch out and make some of the other pro heroes, such as Best Jeanist and Midnight. I think it's awesome that we're getting the first 10-inch version of an anime pop, at least as far as I know, and the first Pop Town for one as well. I think they both look amazing, and it's probably going to be the first time that I purchase a pop from either of those lines, and I just think overall it's really fantastic here. Even some of the ones where it's just kind of minor differences in the designs, such as Shigaraki and Endeavor, I think it's still really cool additions here. Considering the original ones were exclusives, it's nice that there's now those common versions. And now I just want to throw it all over to all of you. Be sure to let me know your rankings down below, and thank you so much if you watched all of this video. I really do appreciate it. I'm a big fan of My Hero Academia, and I just really wanted to get to gush about all of these pops here. I think that they are just really amazing, and I'm sure you know that by now, so I'm going to wrap up the video here. If you did enjoy, be sure to like the video and also subscribe for future content. Toy Fair is going on right now as of the filming of this video, and there's going to be a lot of content on the channel, so stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for your support. I really do appreciate it. I will see you all next time, and always remember, keep on collecting.